Portfolio Committee on Higher Education, Science and Technology is set to conduct an oversight inquiry into the administration and management of the National Student Financial Aid Scheme. It concerns allegations of maladministration and corruption against the NSFAS administrator, Dr. Randall Carolissen, which were made to the committee by the National Education, Health and Allied Workers Union. Joining us now to talk about this is the chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Higher Education, Science and Technology, Phillemon Mapulane. Chair, good evening and thank you very much for joining us here on the Newsfeed late night. So, key or primary to the complaints that you have received are issues of irregular appointments as far as the appointment of friends and those who are very close to the administrator of NSFAS. You put these questions to the administrator. What did you get out of that conversation?
Good evening, Thabo, and good evening to your listeners and your viewers at home. Thanks for having me. We did put these questions to the administrator, and what was of concern to us, and in fact is something that shocked us, is the fact that administrator did admit that he passed on some of the CVs of the implicated persons who later got appointed. He, however, denies that he was involved in the process of the appointment of those people.
He seems to see nothing wrong, ultimately, with, for example, talking about a potential candidate with the minister in front of the potential candidate, saying, well, ultimately, the final responsibility and authority will have to fall with HR and the agency that will be appointing. So I see really nothing wrong. What is the view of the Portfolio Committee on that?
Well, obviously, we think that it's wrong, Thabo, that you discuss with an executive authority the creation of a position which was non-existent at the time that you engage in those discussions. The position gets created. The person who was part of the discussion when that position was created later on is appointed to that very position. I think we find it not in line with the ethical conduct that we expect that must underpin public administration.
What view do you take to the, again, admission of the administrator that he is friends with one of those appointed to the position which was created, a position that does not exist, a position of looking at annual performance plan and key performance indicators. This happens to be Phillemon Mapulane, who is a friend, and you put to him that indeed there is the screen grab of him saying so on Facebook, and he says, well, look, this happened after the fact that we forged this friendship, but that was not the basis of the appointment. What do you make of that denial?
Well, this is one of the things that is worrying us. The fact that the administrator does not see anything wrong with the appointment of his friends, former colleagues, acquaintances, the colleagues of former colleagues of the wife, and so forth and so forth. I mean, for instance, in this particular instance, when I put this question to him, to say there is confirmation, there is a Facebook post which confirms that Mr. Mapulane has got a relationship with yourself. He admitted that, look, I've got lots of friends on Facebook, he's my friend. I was related to him some time back. We lost contact and he came back. I was not involved in the process of appointment. But the point that we are raising as a portfolio committee is that you do not have to be personally part of the process of appointment. But when you pass on the CV to your subordinates at HR, the subliminal message that we are sending to them is that this is the person that you can appoint. So obviously there is an added pressure on you to appoint that person.
Now, you describe the 8-hour meeting as a horror movie, really, in terms of what came out of that meeting and what the administrator was saying to you. Do you have any reason to believe that the inquiry that you're calling for is going to discover even more? For example, did the administrator benefit personally from these appointments?
We don't know, Thabo. We can't say that as a matter of fact. But however, the information that is coming out is shocking members of the committee. And that's why during the deliberations, there was a unanimous view that we have to escalate this into a full inquiry. You would remember that we started engaging with the NSFAS administrator when Nehao came to us, presented a dossier with lots of allegations. And we engaged with NSFAS. We were not happy with the responses. We had a follow-up session. So this was supposed to be a follow-up. Unfortunately, Nehao pulled out, but we proceeded with the employees, about 6 employees that we invited, who gave us testimonies under oath. And from that testimony, we felt that this is a tip of the iceberg. We needed to elevate this into a full inquiry so that we can then determine the full extent of all these issues that are coming up in NSFAS.
Now, the Economic Freedom Fighters, also part of that committee, have gone further to say they're calling for his resignation and they're labeling him as compromised. Is that the view of the committee at large, or is it just the view of the Economic Freedom Fighters?
Well, certainly that is not the view of the portfolio committee, Thabo. Our view is that we are still engaging with NSFAS. We are going to conduct a full inquiry to listen to all the other evidence that we might not have picked up. We have identified other witnesses whom we expect that they will shed more light into the administration at NSFAS. So, at the end of the process, the committee will deliberate and the committee will come to a conclusion. But for now, we have not yet passed any judgment, any conclusion on the suitability or otherwise of the administrator. For now, we are engaging in this inquiry. But I must say, Thabo, that these allegations are very serious. There are allegations, other allegations, of course, regarding the procurement of the laptops, which will also are going to be part of this oversight inquiry. We have requested information. It's coming in drips and drabs. As soon as we have got all the information, we are then going to invite those who have been at the helm of this process to interact with the committee as well.
Hi, Chair. We appreciate your time and thank you very much for joining us. The Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee of Higher Education, Science and Technology there, Phillemon Mapulane. When we continue next, we'll hear from the EFF on the same matter as well as from the SASCO President on why they are taking such a serious position on the administrator at NSFAS. Stay with us.